Hi there everybody, it's UK independent demonstrator Halsey here from slimandstylish.com. Thank you for joining me today. Today I'm going to be creating this lovely card box. This will hold your UK cards in there and your envelopes. I also have the measurements for US because I do know that your cards are different sizes. So I'm just going to sort my camera out, wait for a few people to come and join us, and then get going. So this is using the Parisian Blossom suite, and I'm using the Forever Blossoms stamp set, but you don't have to use Forever Blossoms. You can use any stamp set that you've got to decorate the front of the card. Hi Karen. Hello Ivy. Hello. I keep meaning to call you Yvonne, but still get stuck with Ivy. Hi Sophia. So this is the box we're making, and I've decorated the back as well so it looks all lovely because I can't resist this paper. I think it's gorgeous. Hi Ali. This was a request from Ali. She asked if we could do a box that held cards and we could put together sort of as a gift for people, and I thought that was a really nice idea. So I've had a play. It's got a window sheet in it so we can see the cards that are in it. I haven't made any cards yet, but if we get enough time, I've cut myself some coordinating card bases so we can have a little bit of a play. For those of you who followed my instructions on Facebook and have got everything ready, I made a slight mistake, tiny teensy really. I asked you all to cut a piece of Whisper White cardstock, but you actually needed it to be a little bit bigger than I told you. I think I measured it this morning before I had like a morning cup of tea or something, wrote it down and wrote it down completely wrong. So it should have been 4 1/4 of an inch by 6 1/4 of an inch. So that's the piece of Whisper White you'll need. 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. And because I am very aware that Americans have different size cards to us, oh, well done Karen, you thought it looked wrong so made it bigger. Yes. Whoops. But yes, I know Americans have different size cards to us. So I've been online and had a Google. Our A4 cardstock is 8 1/4 by 11 5/8. So this is what I will be making. But if you are watching from the States, your cardstock is 8 1/2 inch by 11 inch, I believe. So I've tailored the measurements so they will fit your cards. I'm hoping your envelopes have the same gap as ours so that it should fit right. So those are the measurements you will need to use. Let's get started. So I've got my piece of A4 cardstock. I've chose Petal Pink because, you know, it's pink. And you need a scoreboard. So this is what it will look like if it's American. I had to cut a piece of our cardstock and stick a piece on to try and work out the measurements because my head wasn't playing right this morning. And that is why I haven't made cards to go inside yet, because I was fiddling around with the card sizes for America. So with your cardstock in, lengthways, you want to score it at 1 inch. In America at 3/4 of an inch. Just in case you're ever stuck, by the way, our scoring tool has a big end and a little end. The little end is great for DSP, but the big end's good for card. Don't ask me how I know, but it took me ages to work that out. Probably longer than it should have done, to be fair. So 1 inch for the UK, 3/4 of an inch for the US, 5 5/8 of an inch for the UK, and 5 1/4 inch for the US. 6 5/8 of an inch for the UK, and 6 inches for the US. And then 11 1/4 inches right at the very end for the UK, and 10 1/2 inches for the US. Feeling very cultured having 2 different measurements. When you turn it widthways, UK, you want to score it at 1 inch and 7 1/2 inches, and the US 3/4 of an inch and 7 1/2 inches. But for me, it's an inch. and 7.5 inches. Okay, so I do that again because I know a few people have just come on, so hello if you've just popped on. If you've just popped on, you want your cardstock lengthways. It doesn't matter whether you're UK or US because I've got the measurements for both. So you want to score it, if you're UK, 1 inch, 5 5/8 of an inch, 6 5/8 of an inch, and 11 1/4. If you're the US, you want to score it at 3/4 of an inch, 5 1/4, 6 and 10 1/2. And hopefully this is clear enough on the side of the screen. I hope so. Then you want to turn it widthways. UK, 1 inch and 7.5 inches. US, 3/4 of an inch and 7.5 inches as well. We know where the problem's going to be, don't we? I'm gonna read the wrong one for the wrong place at some point. Apologies if I do. So once you've scored that, you need your trimmer ideally, so that you can get a straight cut. Let me just grab mine. So before you fold or burnish it, pop it into your trimmer. And what you actually want to do at this 7.5 cut up here, which was the same for the US and the UK, you want to line that up on your trimmer tool. So you can go across to 7.5 and line it up that way, or you can use your guide and you can see the score in. But what you want to do really, this small rectangle up here, you want to get rid of that. Cut that off. You also want to cut this really big long one and this really big long one. So you just want these two that in the UK is 1 inch and in the US was 3 1/4. Okay, so line that up. And this is why the trimmer is so much easier, because you can just go all the way along, pick it back up and drop it back off. And it makes it an awful lot easier then. And you just come in with your scissors and chop the rest of it off. You can do it with your scissors, but I don't have that straight a hand and I would get into a mess. And I'm just guessing that everybody else would be the same as me, so that's why I've used the trimmer. Also, where you have these two bits sticking up there, this will be your front panel. So this is your main bit in between these two. So what you want to do is you want to, wherever these score marks are here, you want to set them at 3/4 of an inch. Okay, or 2 centimetres, whichever you're measuring in. So I'm going to do it by 2 centimetres. So there's my score mark just there. I'm setting it at 2 centimetres, and you want to use your trimming blade and you want to go to 2 centimetres down from the start of your card there, and you just want to cut 2 centimetres. So you've got a strip, 2 centimetre gap, 2 centimetre gap and 2 centimetres between the score line and there. So it's like that. And you want to cut 2 centimetres all the way along from the score lines. I know, I like to make it really easy, but I thought if you're making pretty cards to go in a box, then you kind of want the box to be, you want to see what you're putting in. If you're gifting it to someone, they can then see what cards are in there. And if you're selling it, it's great because they can see straight in, so they've got an idea of what cards it is. And on the last one, 2 centimetres again. Should just be matching them all up. And this is where you realise I'm bad at doing the guides because it doesn't match on any of the corners, but just pop it out. You want to save this bit in the middle. You're going to need that. if you know me, I don't like wasting cardstock, so there will be a use for that somewhere along the line. Hi Norma, here you popped on. I've done it in US sizes as well, so you'll be able to hopefully follow those. I did say at the start I was hoping, I looked at the differences between our envelopes and our cards, and I hope you have the same size differences between the two so that it matches right. I had my maths head on today, just tidying up the corners from where I had pulled them out. There we go. Sure, Karen, no problem. So just to reiterate where we've scored it, 1 inch, and then I've cut at 1 3/4 inches. This one here is 5 5/8 of an inch, and I've also cut that 3/4 of an inch in. Okay, so that there is a 3/4 of an inch gap around that main square. I've also scored it as 6 5/8 of an inch and 11 1/4 inches. If you're in the US, the window is still 3/4 of an inch all the way around, but instead that would be at 3/4 of an inch, that score mark there. And this will be at 1 1/2 inches, you know, 3/4 of an inch in. This score line will be 5 1/4, 6 and 10 1/2. I'm hoping, is that easier for everyone to see? Karen, let me know when you've caught up. I know, I whiz along. It's because I've got it in my head and I want to do it before I get it wrong, so I just whiz well ahead. And then on the lengthwise, you want to score it at, this one down here is 1 inch and this was 7 1/2 inches, so really it should have been that way. So you've got the bigger one at the bottom. Okay, so you're just folding and burnishing now. So you want to fold it on each score line. And don't forget these two little bits up here. On their own. Yes, Norma, my team's doing it with me, and 1 or 2 of my customers as well normally catch up. I have a really nice customer who's an NHS worker, and she gets home from her shift, messages me and tells me it's a lovely video, and the next day sends me a picture of her doing it. So I think that's really, really nice. She's got so many other things she could be doing at the moment, and I think it's lovely that she catches up on my videos. Right, so at the bottom, you want to cut up on that one. Okay, and then just chop that one off like you usually do for a corner in the top. And then just because I'm me and I can't cut straight, I'm just going to notch into the corner ones. Karen, who's on my team, Norma, she's on my team and she's on the call, Karen Tilly. She has a YouTube and a blog, Tilly Crafts, and Sophia is also on, and she's Forest Crafts. So I have been looking at their videos. I will put a link to one of them in my blog this week, and a link to the other one on the following week. They do really lovely videos. And Ali's also in my team. It was Ali's suggestion to do this today. So once you've done all that, I'm going to actually stick all the pieces on before I try and assemble it, because otherwise it's a bit hard to try and get your hands in for the window sheet. So I've already pre-cut my window sheet to fit in this gap here. You can I've cut mine on the slightly wider side, so I've cut it 5.5 inches by 4.5 inches, so it should just fit over the window there. And I'm going to pop a little bit of Tombow to stick it down. So I'm going to pop that around the window, but I'm popping it with about 0.5 centimetre gap around the window. Learn from experience. If you put this, hello honeybee from Florida. Ah, Florida. We went to Florida for on stage the other year. Loved it. But yeah, when you're putting the Tombow around, if you keep it 0.5 centimetre from the edge, because when you pop the window sheet on and it smushes out, you don't want the glue to be visible. Learning from experience here. If you know me, you know I normally go wrong 2 or 3 times before I get it right. So I'm just going to pop that down. If you are enjoying this honeybee and you would like the measurements, I've got the US ones at the bottom here, because I've also learned from experience where people have created my things over in America and hope that they will fit and they don't, and then I feel guilty. So I've got the US measurements and the UK measurements. So there's the front of the box with the acetate in. And then on this bit here is where you want to stick the slightly bigger bit of card. If you saw my Facebook this morning, you will have the wrong size card, because I was being a bit dense and wrote the wrong card size down. So what you actually want is 4.25 inches by 6.25 inches. And if you're in the US, it will be slightly different. I didn't measure that bit out for you. Where's my US card stock? Well, do you know what? If in the US, that'll fit perfectly as well. There we go. This was my my challenge for the day, was trying to work it out with different cardstock sizes. So I'm just going to glue this onto the back. So I'm going to glue it onto the back. I think I'm out of use. And then this bit here that we had earlier that we've cut out from the window, we want to cut this down so it actually creates the bit that hangs over here. Okay, so if you just get your trimmer again, you want to cut it lengthwise at 4 5/8 inch. And then you want to score it at 1 inch, and then you also want to score it at 2 inches. So you cut it to 1 5/8 inch, sorry, 4 5/8 inch, and then you score it. It should be 3 inches anyway, but you want to score it so you've got a 1 inch, a 2 inch, and then what is left. And then on the bit that's left, you want to use your fuse or your snail, Tombow, whatever you're using. And stick that at the top of the card. On the outside, we stick it, I know normally I stick my tabs on the inside, but for this one, I stuck it on the outside. Yeah, let me show you. I was just double checking I did because it sounded wrong, but no, I put ribbon around it to hide it. So you want to stick it on the outside, and you want the bit that's scored to fold over like that. So it's like an extra tab really. And you're sticking that to the back. It's just an extra bit. Okay. For the DSP, keep it at 6 inches, but you also want to cut it at 4 inches so it'll just layer on here. I'm just trying to work out, I used this one last time. I'm wondering, do I want to use that again? Or am I going to use the Paris? I'm going to use this again. I really like this pattern. So pretty. So I'm just going to trim that to 4 inches. I'm not sure if I gave you the measurement for that on my blog this morning, but it's 6 inches by 4 inches. And just stick that down. Keep the little extra bit you've cut off. You'll need that bit in a second because I decorate the front with that bit. And just pop that on like that. So it should cover the majority of that lap over, but we're going to use some ribbon to cover the rest of it. I remember the reason why I didn't put it in the middle. There we go. I did think about putting this into the middle, but then I thought if you pull your cards up and you yank them, you could pull this off. So that's why I stuck it at the back. It all comes back to me now. So now it's just ready to assemble. You want to stick some adhesive along this long tab here. Like that. And then stick it down and together. And then the bottom you want to pop in both of the sides. Pull that one up and put your adhesive on the front tab that sticks down. Have I whizzed ahead, Karen Ali, or am I all right in time? Do you want me to hold on? Let me know. So that there will be your 2 tabs that go down. Now with the top, you've got a choice. You can either put it on the outside, I put it on the outside and pop the ribbon through, or you don't have to do the ribbon, you can pop it in and do it that way. I didn't want to push it in. You'd obviously put a little bit of a thing to get it inside. I wanted it hanging on the outside so that I could add a big ribbon tie. It's up to you which way you want to do it. So for the tie, I didn't burnish that very well on that corner. I'm using my hole punch, and because I'm using thicker ribbon, actually I will decorate the lid first. I decorated it before I punched it. I'm jumping all over the place. So I've got my bit of card DSP that was left. You want some Whisper White. I've got Whisper White that's big enough. I have. So you want it lengthwise at 4 1/4 again. And then you want it at 3/4 of an inch. So it's 4 1/4 by 3/4 of an inch. And then for this bit, that should already be cut at 4 inches, which it is. 4 inches, and you want it by 7/8 of an inch, this one. So it's just a little bit wider than the white. Try and get your fingers in. If you've got the mini guillotine, that would have been like super to use that there, but mine unfortunately has been stolen. My mum fell in love with it. She thought it was gorgeous and cute, and it's now in her crafting stock and not in mine. I know. So you just want it to hang like that, so it's just a little bit wider on the top and the bottom, and it's got the edging out, and then that sits on your box like that. So when it folds over, you've got the decorative bit at the front. I keep going to use that fuse. I need to pop it to the back. So stick that on your tab. Try and stick it in the centre. There we go. Then with your hole punch, let's get to that bit. You want to look what Noble did, by the way, Karen. I left this out, and he took the bit off. Sorry, Ivy. Have I rushed ahead? I just try. I've got it in my head, so I just go, and I never think about people crafting along. I'm very selfish like that. Very sorry. I just don't want to make any mistakes and go with it. Sorry. But yeah, so for this, because I was using thicker ribbon, I punched my hole through, and then I punched another hole to the side of it. And then I also punched another one on the top, so it looked like a little bit like a clover. But to me, it made it a really big hole there for my ribbon to come through. And then grab a pen, mark where it is on the back. And do the same. Do you know what, Honeybee? That's exactly the same as mine. Because everyone's in quarantine or lockdown and staying in, I think everybody's thinking that I'm crafting like loads and making lots of things. But actually, because I've been working from home and staying at home, the amount of time I've spent at my desk through working, I haven't really been spending the time there crafting, and my sort of motivation to craft has just gone. Whereas in my head, like a week at home would have been like, yes, I can do loads of crafting. So yeah, I'm just going to mirror the hole at the bottom here. Noble, by the way, is my dog. We had a bit of a few words this week because my work wanted to do a video, Clap for Carers video, that went out at 8 o'clock on Thursday, because in the UK every Thursday we're doing an 8 o'clock clap for the carers and the NHS. It's really nice actually. Everyone goes outside, cheers at their doorstep, claps and applauds them, and it's really nice because I've met people on this street that I didn't even know lived on this street, so it's been really, really social. And our work put a video out with all of the staff clapping along, and then they scheduled it for 8 o'clock on Thursday to show that we're supporting the NHS. And I thought it would be really cute to get Noble to play along. So he stood there very patiently, and I sat next to him and clapped, and as soon as I started clapping, he thought he'd been a good boy and jumped up. And, well, it took about 20 odd takes and it broke my phone screen. So I was in a bit of a... it was my fault. I should have worked out that he would do that, but yeah, I was in a bit of a panic. Right, for the ribbon, you really want to cut this sort of diagonally so that you've got a real point on it, and then do exactly the same on the other end. And I'm trying to work out how much it will take me to do a nice long bow. I'm guessing that much. Okay, pull it through. So you're coming in from the back here, pulling it through that one, and then you're also putting the other one through, but don't pull it all the way, otherwise you're going to have to rethread it again because it will all come back out. Okay, so once you've got it with about a centimetre left, you want to pop some adhesive, be it a glue dot or fuse, in there. I'm just going to use my fuse because it's here. I've been using it anyway. Put more on the ribbon than I did on the thing. And then pull the ribbon and stick it down flat. You probably don't want to use snail for it. You do want it to be sticky strip or a glue dot or fuse, so it does really, really stick. So you're going to pull on that. I got some on my ribbon. Daft Helsey. Pop both of your tabs in, and then you want to feed the ribbon through this hole here. And then once you've got it through, I knotted it before I popped the bow in. I just found it easier to keep it in the right place there. And then pop my bow on. Otherwise it was trying to open at the same time I was doing my bow, and I was getting into a bit of a hell and panic. And inside there your envelopes will fit and your cards will fit, and then that fits on quite nice and tightly. So for the front, I'll tell you what I've missed. Did that daft. I popped some ribbon around here, and it hid, you know, that this lip that's here, it hid that by putting the ribbon round. I can still do it. Just trying to remember all the steps. So with your strip of ribbon, I popped the adhesive all the way around it, so it stuck exactly where I wanted it all the way around. Really just as a trim rather than a ribbon really. So stick it over that lip so you can't see it. And it comes up, comes underneath the tab like that, and it just hits the top part of the acetate. And then I chopped it in the middle where it joins. Sorry, can you see my head there? I was trying to get it so it joins together and realised that my head had just popped into the wrong part. Now that does have the join, but what we're going to do is stamp and pop, die cut out and pop. See the flower over the join? So I did that on the Stamparatus. Already got my flower there. Put my magnets on, ink it up. And I've actually already stamped and die cut one of these, so I only needed to do one with you, because you know what I'm like, I lose things. In all fairness, I kept thinking I would lose this die cut stamped piece, Now my big shot's just on the side, so I'm just going to turn around and do that. I can't fit it into my filming bit, unfortunately. Line it up on my magnetic platform. I always find that's really tricky. I like the magnetic platform because it keeps it in place, but trying to line it up I always find like really tricky. How's those that are crafting coming along? Am I doing all right on timing? I mean, this is just the easy bit now. This is just the blending. So for blending them, I have Pool Party, Petal Pink and the Colour Lifter. I also have soft sea foam somewhere. Let me just grab it. You just want the soft sea foam dark. There we go. I'm just colouring the flowers in. The dark bit's going where all the shading is, and then the light bit will go where the shading isn't. And I'm going to put Pool Party around the border. So Ivy, how are things over there? We're on this, we're not on a well, we are on a lockdown, but we're not on a lockdown. We haven't been as strict as quite a few of the other countries. We're told to stay in, and I'm working from home, but if it's essential then you can still go to work if you can't work from home. You can go out for one form of exercise a day, go shopping, but only in ones. They only let one of us in the supermarket. How is it over there? I think I read in our newspapers that you were doing better. And I think over in America, is it different with what state you're in? Is that they all have different rules, I think? I mean, they're saying we might come out of our lockdown soon. And while I think that would be nice, I still think that it will be some time before you know, everyone's all trusting to go back out again. Oh, I missed that honeybee. It came up and then just vanished. If I'm not, but I think I saw yes, so I think while we're all in lockdown now, or adapting to this now, I think what's even more weird is going to be how long it will take to return to normal. How long it will be till, or will we go back to normal? What happened? I don't know. It's the I don't knowing. So I'm just going over the top with the light. I'm just trying to imitate the flowers that were on the DSP, so it all matches. I mean, you can pop a sentiment on the front of your card box. I didn't put a sentiment on mine, then I thought it was okay for any sort of occasion. And actually I've already sold this one because I showed it before I did it and someone wanted it. We are on shelter in place. The city next to us wants the beaches since it started to get hot. Yeah, it's... I think my head still hasn't got round to it. I find it really, the whole situation really bizarre. I wouldn't be surprised if I woke up tomorrow morning and it was just like a really bad nightmare, you know? So dark sea foam for the leaves, and I'm just putting the dark on. I'm not playing dark and light on the leaves. Do the branches. And then actually you only really need the light pool party. I don't know why I bought the dark pool party over. I just used the light and went around all of the gaps. So around the edges. Really silly of me. I asked you all questions and then put my head down to do the blending, so I can't see the screen to get your answers. I will look back later. I had some fun actually. Last week I remembered that Colleen was on and she said she was from Chicago, and I said, oh, I'll have a look and find some interesting sort of... I was trying to remember what I said, oh, I know Chicago for a reason. So I'll look and next week I'll tell you why. And then I tried to go through, oh, thank you, Norma. I get lots of practice. I colour everything. If it stands still long enough, it's coloured. So I tried to go through all the comments afterwards so that I could get where everyone was from and get all the bits and pieces, and I couldn't really work out how to get the comments up to start off with. I found it in the end, but I managed to put up the subtitles thinking that they were comments. Oh, Google must have real big problems with my accent, or I speak too quick. It's probably that one. But I was watching the subtitles and it was definitely not what I was saying. Gave me a lot more entertainment than perhaps it should have done. Yeah, if you're ever bored on YouTube, find a channel, turn on the subtitles and just... It's like two different stories. I feel very sorry if anyone with a hearing impairment does come across my videos and follows those subtitles, because I said on the one bit you want to fold and it changed. The subtitle said that I said hip, and I thought fold is nothing like hip. It was very strange to listen to. Like I said, it did take longer than really it should have done because I was laughing at it. There we go. So there are my die cut pieces, all coloured. Hopefully I do think they look quite a lot like the paper. I'll make cards to go in the box, Karen. I've got the base cardstock going, and then I just popped these onto the front for decoration. So if you were using a different stamp set, you'd have different stamps and paper and anything. Because this is window sheet, you could stick anything to it. So I'm just popping a bit of adhesive and I'm popping it on all them all the main big bits because I want it to definitely stick. And I'm definitely making sure that the berry or the leaves or some part of it is going over that join, so it just doesn't look like a join, it hides it. We know it's there, but the box doesn't know it's there. I'm all about that. I did a card this week. I don't know whether you caught it. I did it on YouTube. And as I bought my handbag, I was using one of the bright colours, lovely lipstick I think it was, and I caught it down the bottom. So then I spent more time adapting it so no one could see that I caught it. And it actually looked really nice when it was finished, but here we go. So there are my boxes. Cards, Karen. Okay. I can do this. I planned cards if we got time, but I really hadn't thought what they would look like. So I did get some petal pink and I cut it in half and scored it in half, so it is going to be our usual card size. My bone folder, I know I've got it somewhere. Okay, have I got any DSP left? Got those bits left. Okay, and then I've got these ones here that I bought up as well. Right back in, so I have loads of this cut. This is 9.5 centimetres by 13.8 centimetres. And then whenever I'm crafting I use these, I know it's going to fit onto one of our cards. So let's stick that on first. These are going to be simple cards, Karen, I'm telling you. Simple cards. Do you know what? I've already got the stamp on my Stamparatus. Let's stamp that. Probably should have done it to the backing before sticking it on the card, but you know. Have you all used the stamping cleaning pads? Where are they? These ones here, the stamp cleaning pads. They're going retired in the new catalogue, which I was really shocked about because I think they're fantastic. I really think they're good. So I just bought a brand new one, and I bought the brand new one and then noticed that they did refill, they're called refill bottles. So I got the brand new one in the sale and then also picked the refill bottle up a bit later on. Daft. But yeah, line that up. I think that's about right. Yeah. There we go. And I don't want to be boring and blend it again, but I'm going to be. As I said, if it sits down long enough, I'll colour it. I do love the blends. Doesn't need as much colour on this because I'm not going around the outside. Exactly the same with the dark and the light. I do love this stamp set. When this stamp set came out at On Stage, I had promised one of my friends, Sally, who I go to the events with, because I always do flowers. She said, oh, you're going to get flowers again? I says, no, I'm banning myself. I'm not buying any flowers because I keep using flowers and I keep forgetting all my other stamp sets. And then this came out and I was like, I'll have to get the flowers. It's just too beautiful, isn't it? Too beautiful. There we go. And looking at these, I want to use them. Let's find a sentiment. I'm going to go with friend. This was how unprepared I was, by the way, Karen, to get to the greeting cards. I didn't bring myself any blocks over to my desk. I knew I'd take time on the box. So, scrap Whisper White. I'm using it. Might only be a little bit, but I'm using it. 1/2 inch. And then some ribbon. Right, so I'm going to stick the DSP onto the ribbon. If the ribbon will play game and sit still, thank you. I'll stick that onto the card. And I'm only putting a bit of glue. I kind of like the idea of the ribbon sticking up. Oh, pop it in the middle. And put friend on there. Got any mini glue dots? Sorry, mini dimensionals? I have. Let's pop that up. Love this. This is a new take on a one strip wonder. Little 1/2 inch strips of DSP. There we go. Friend. I could continue playing with that, but I will I'll end up ruining it. One of these people who's never content and just keeps playing and playing, and then at the end I think, oh, it looked better to start off with. So see, shouldn't have played. I just thought if I could cut that a little nearer. are. And my box. Probably wouldn't recommend tying it until you've put all your cards in, otherwise you're going to be in and out of this quite a lot. But I'll pop my card in. I've got an envelope. Pop my envelope in. There you go. Actually, quite like the fact I kept it with the same set, because you can actually see it through the acetate. I quite like that actually. I'm glad you made me do a card, Karen. Oh, thank you, Honeybee. I quite like it as well. Need to play with simple cards more. So there we go. And I've got some cards behind me. Hang on, let me just have a look and see if we can measure it. I've got 5 cards there. These are all for previous blogs. Actually, put the 6th one in. You won't be able to get as many in the American one because it's only 3/4 of an inch, whereas ours an inch. Do you know what? I think you'd get all the envelopes for those in as well. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards and 6 envelopes. Quite chuffed. What do you think? Yeah, I mean, I'll try it with the envelopes, Karen, but I think you get 6 envelopes, 6 cards in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 envelopes. 6 cards. Yeah, and all of those cards have got dimensional pieces on, so they're all popped up. Six cards, 6 envelopes. I wouldn't have guessed 6, by the way. That's why I'm sounding surprised. But yeah, I mean, all of these have got dimensionals and pop-ups on, so okay. Oh, well, thank you for coming to watch, Honeybee. And yeah, check them out. They'll be up this week and next week. I filmed them all yesterday. I had a filming day. I hope that works for you, Alison. Alison was hoping to gift these away. I don't know whether I want to. They're too nice. I'm too bad at this. I make things and put them in boxes because they're too cute and I don't want to get rid of them. But yeah, so thank you for joining me today. I will do another live 4 o'clock next Sunday. If you've got anything you want me to make, let me know. Any requests? But yeah, other than that, I've got to try and put my pretty bow back in. But yeah, when I come to making this, I was going to tuck it inside, but I do actually really like it with a leaf over the top. I think it shows the DSP off and I quite like the bow. So that's why I didn't. You can tuck it inside, but I put the bow in. How's yours turned out, Karen? You'll have to send me a picture. If you do make them, by the way, do send me a picture or put them up on Instagram and just tag Slim and Stylish in so I can see them. I like looking like the next day and seeing what everyone's done. It's good fun to me. But there we go. Thank you for joining me. I'll say goodbye and see you all soon. Bye.